everyone. Welcome back to our 12 days of live stream. We're on day 2. So we are keeping on. How are y'all doing? I also realized during the live streams, I never do a proper intro of the channel. So welcome to Wine and Chill with me, Stephanie, your favorite recovering lawyer, and to our little live stream mini series of scams, scandals, and streams, which will be going on for the next week and a half. And yes, I will be drinking water for the next week and a half because I'm sick. So yeah, I saw in the comments some of y'all were not pleased with that. You could drink your wine. It's fine. And today we are going to do, I would say, a mix of a mini scandal and a scam, to be quite frank, and something that is very random but popped up in my inbox, and I thought it was quite hilarious on the surface level. And there's some other things to discuss. So we are going to discuss the scandal of the Liver King, which if you are not familiar with the Liver King, don't worry. Neither was I until last week. I subscribed to the Colin and Samir, which they are a YouTube channel that talks about the creator economy. Excellent channel, highly recommend. I subscribed to their newsletter, and in their newsletter, they were discussing the expose that another channel did on the Liver King. And I found it all to be quite comical, seeing as the man is in the picture eating raw liver. Yes. However, yes, and we are somewhat on time. Thank you. Thank you for that. So we are going to discuss the Liver King scandal, as well as are there any potential lawsuits that arise when you make, allegedly, according to him, $100 million off of selling what is essentially a fake aesthetic. Okay, let's get into it. All right, so who is the Liver King? Now, his real name, obviously, his mother did not name him the Liver King, is actually Brian Johnson. He is an entrepreneur / businessman that has taken the internet and the, I would say, non-natty / natty, which is what the younger generation of children that want to do bodybuilding are calling natural these days, weightlifting community by storm by claiming that his physique is natural. Obviously, anyone over the age of 18, 19 can tell he's not natural. However, he targeted most of his TikToks, his Instagram, and his YouTube to young white men, I would say, to which a 13-year-old little boy probably doesn't know the difference. Now, let's watch a few of his clips so you can see what types of foods he was eating and what he was telling the kids.
Liver King here. This is what I'm having for breakfast today.
Oh, hold on. Let me mute me.
We got liver and bone marrow with breakfast, lunch, and dinner because liver is king, and I'm the Liver King. We're having some scrambled eggs. We're having some carbs. We're having some meat. We're having some more meat. We got some salmon locks. We got Liver King concoction with some maple syrup, and we have a whole beef protein shake. We got butter. We got butter. We got butter. We got some more carbs. These carbs.
It's giving high cholesterol.
And this butter. And these eggs, and this protein, and these carbs for this savage liver boy rat.
And that was a lot of bacon. So if you don't recognize why Tyra Banks from Life Size is on the right, then you are still young and your knees are still good. So I'm happy for you for that. In that video, she ate a whole swab of butter because she was a doll and she came to life and she loved butter and is quite funny.
Here.
All right. One of the ironies is that he proclaimed by eating raw liver, yes, raw bull testicles, raw thyroid, raw anything from an organic, grass-fed bovine cattle, that it would give you his larger physique, which really only applied to the top half. The thighs will always tell on you. What I find very ironic was he is a very wealthy man. He said so himself before his rise to internet stardom. And in doing so, he enjoys a lifestyle where he can travel around the world. One of his videos, and my original thought when I first saw his video was, this man is telling people by eating natural, by embracing your inner ancestor, you are going to have a very ripped, large physique. And my first thought, as someone who went to Kenya not too long ago for my birthday, was I've seen the Maasai tribe. lovely people, and they eat all natural, non-GMO every day. And honey, they're not that size. To which, ironically enough, he has a video on his channel of him visiting not only the Maasai, but a few different tribes. And as you can see, all the natural men and women that he's posed with are significantly of a normal size. But yes, all right. So there is a great article from GQ. How he rose to fame was in less than a year, he amassed millions of followers by essentially doing a lot of gimmicks, eating the raw meat on TikTok. TikTok loves to spread lots of things. Eating the raw meat on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and essentially telling people you need to sleep more, you need to work less, you need to embrace your inner ancestor, your inner ancestral diet, and you need to embrace more of a masculine type of way of life. It's very much geared towards young men, to be quite frank. And in doing so, he was interviewed on all of those, I would say, very male dominated podcasts, some of them very manosphere esque podcasts, because they also believe in this idea that you need to be large and in charge, and let's all embrace the patriarchy, but we can't really embrace the patriarchy and all that mess. So there was a very interesting article before his ousting came out in May about the Liver King. So, from the medieval trappings of his Texas mansion to his raw organ meat diet, the TikTok star and supplement magnate promotes living like a caveman in all aspects of his life. Promotes living like a caveman, but lives in a huge, elaborate, decadent estate. The man doesn't live outside. One of the interesting things in the article that stood out to me, and if you watch any of his videos, the way in which he talks, so you can see kind of, I would say, like the underlying message on top of some of it, to be honest, is very benign. There's nothing actually wrong with telling people they need to sleep more, they need to have community. Those are all pretty good tenets. But it's the underlying theme, since he was targeting young men, which is the modern world has made men unconscionably soft. AKA, you know what? Y'all need to do more. You're not living up to patriarchal Patrick. And that the only way to fight back is living more like our earliest, most jacked ancestors. Again, as he proved his own point when he decided to go to East Africa and see some of the tribes that have lived in similar ways for hundreds of years. That is not going to make you look like you're doing steroids. The way to accomplish this, according to the Liver King, is by following his 9 ancestral tenets: eat, sleep, move, shield, connect, cold, sun, fight, bond. Some of these he just picked buzzwords, but okay. Doing the most brutal workouts imaginable, and above all, eating more raw liver. He really latched onto the liver. And one of the things about his, I would say, internet facade is that he doesn't wear shirts because you can't show the main product, which is the 8-pack with the shirts on. So he doesn't wear shirts. So he did let the journalist know that he does own shirts, but she couldn't find them in his closet. However, she did know that his closet contains approximately 900 pairs. This is absolutely wild, and is giving, maybe, there's a hoarding issue. 900 identical pairs of athletic shorts and enough guns and ammunition to arm the military of a smaller nation. All right. I just wanted to put that part out there because that was very interesting to me. And this is from the Liver King website, which these are the tenets, which they're supposed to be 9. I don't know. Maybe the website messed up, which is sleep, eat, move, connect, cold, sun, fight, and bond. I don't know why his website only had 8. He believes in 9. One of them is missing. Maybe they need an update. Also, one of the interesting things I find about the alleged scammers that we have covered, there's always a smidge of truth in the scam. There's always just a smidge of actual common sense. So prioritize 10,000 steps. Fitbit has trying to get people to prioritize 10,000 steps since Fitbit was started. Everyone knows this. 10,000 steps, you should do that. Take a cold shower. This has been along since back in the day when I was a kid and I used to read, what was it called? Royal Diaries, the Royal Diaries series, and Marie Antoinette and all of them. The young courtesans have been telling each other to take a cold shower, that it's good for your skin. It tightens your skin. I don't know whether or not that's true. Walk barefoot and connect to the earth. Psychologists have been telling people grounding yourself, particularly if you live in a city, by literally putting your feet in grass is good for you. There's nothing new. There's nothing actually wrong with this. It goes left when all of a sudden you tell young, impressionable boys that yes, doing these things and eating raw meat, particularly my raw supplements, will get you to look like this. Yeah, no. The steroids that he admitted to got him to look like this. One of the things I found really interesting, most of the podcasts that he did, he's putting on this larger than life persona. He is, I would say, in terms of muscular, very large man, but in terms of height, not particularly that tall. So he's putting on this huge persona. And part of his persona is he brings to every podcast that he does a literal tray of raw meat. So that way the people interviewing him can eat the raw meat. And he really embraces that lifestyle. And in his larger than life persona, he's always kind of like making jokes, always bringing up the fact that he doesn't do steroids, even though now we all know that he does steroids, even though most of us already knew that. But one of the interesting podcasts he did was on Iced Coffee Hour with Graham Stephan. So Graham Stephan is a huge YouTuber, mostly personal finance. He has a side channel in which he has I think he has 3 or 4 channels now. But Iced Coffee Hour is a podcast where he wants to get into like the business dealings of different, I would say, creators. So this interview I found really interesting in that specifically in this interview, you don't see like this silly man trying to convince people that he's not doing steroids. You see somebody who's actually pretty smart in that he talks about his come up and how does he know so much about fitness in the first place. He started in his early 20s after college as a pharmaceutical rep. A pharmaceutical rep is someone who is legally allowed to peddle drugs. And that is how he learned all of this jargon. He then went from a pharmaceutical rep making 6 figures to then becoming a medical device rep, someone who sells the various medical devices to hospitals and doctors. And from there, him and his wife was in dentistry. They owned a practice. And then from there, they realized, you know what? They personally were very wealthy. They believe in these ancestral tenets. They want to push this forward and let's go here. A part of people that have very big, I would say, internet personalities that come along with, listen, buy this product, always buy this product. My product is better than yours, is this weaponization of jargon in whatever their field is. So it's saying, listen, I'm a lawyer. I've been a lawyer all these years, even though I don't practice anymore for the past year, which is great. Hello. And let's use this legal jargon and confuse you just so you can come and buy my services. I don't sell any services. I don't do consulting work. We've talked about this, but essentially that's what all of them do. Is say, oh yes, because I was a medical device rep, because I was a pharmaceutical rep, I know about your glycerins, your glutamine, your this, your that, your next, creatine, this, that, whatever. And I can go and make these videos, use all this fanciful language, confuse you, pseudoscience my way into it and tell you that, yes, you should buy my thyroid. Yes, beef thyroid that I am selling for $54. Is a common thread. Now, how this all got exposed finally with the door shut was More Plates, More Dates, which is another YouTube channel. They focus a lot on, I would say, like personal fitness exposés, as well as personal fitness in general, and showing people that are lying about their personal fitness journeys, as well as helping people on their personal fitness journeys. It's interesting. It's an interesting channel. I was poking around in it. They did a video with full receipts stating that the Liver King is not only doing steroids, actually somebody from the Liver King's team months before he went and started his Instagram and TikTok takeover, actually reached out to the person from More Plates, More Dates, stating like, hey, can you train me? You seem like a great trainer. This is my current steroid regimen. It doesn't seem to be working. I believe the Liver King is 44 or 45. Doesn't seem to be working at my age. Let's adjust it. So it was all in writing that all along this man has been bamboozling people. All right, so a quick clip from the video that exposed all of this.
Accomplishment.
Now, understandably, this success draws a greater level of scrutiny to his claims of being natural and his brand as a whole, as there is a clear monetary incentive to promote what he does And if he's on drugs after all, there is a clear monetary incentive to withhold that information from the public and lie about it to push his agenda. And this scrutiny has compounded exponentially over the past year, as Liver King has not just doubled down on his statements of claiming natural, but he has literally 100-folded down on it on several of the biggest podcasts in the world.
Regardless of whether you use stuff or not, like,
I don't.
Can they get a build like yours without taking them?
So I want to set the record straight. I want to expand.
All right. Also, if you hear weird noises in the background, it's because the heater's on. The heat in these old New York buildings is so loud. So the More Plates, More Dates channel is run by Derek. Highly recommend his original expose. Is excellently done. And it's a play-by-play of you literally watching this man build a brand out of nowhere simply to peddle more products, to be honest. Although clearly his brand was doing well to begin with if he was already independently wealthy. And this is a small snippet of the Liver King's apology, and a small snippet because it includes lots of expletives, and YouTube has updated their policies, and I like my monetization money. So just so you know who we're dealing with before we get into the potential legalities.
Because before social media, I was rich and anonymous. And after social media, I'm still rich, but no longer anonymous. And I never expected this kind of exposure in the public eye.
That man said, I'm healthy and wealthy and have been, and I only regret that y'all caught me, but I'm still rich. What a wild way to start an apology video. To which, in his apology video, he then goes on to state that a lot of men are unfortunately experiencing body dysmorphia and that he is trying to help them with his products, which I find ironic because he's quite literally feeding in to the body dysmorphia that is growing amongst young men. Sir, you're telling the kids to eat liver and that's going to give them pecs, and you only have that from the steroids. Okay, all right. So, false advertising, the FTC, and influencers. So the FTC is the Federal Trade Commission. This is from the Liver King's website. I will say the website is very well done. And this is a bit of the tenet of the Liver King's mantra, what he's trying to feed the people to do. Every man, women, and child, I think it should have said woman, okay, has the right to a strong, healthy, and happy, in parenthetical, autoimmune-free, eczema-free, allergy-free, fatigue-free, and so on. To live life with robust energy and biological resilience, to go from existence in life to discovery that makes life worth living. As somebody who, like every other Jamaican, unfortunately, grew up eating liver for breakfast, I still have eczema. It's not curing eczema. It's not happening. An interesting part in terms of how he has separated his businesses, he owns multiple businesses, the most, I would say, visible one being the ancestral supplements business right here. That is separate from his website that we just looked at. That is just theliverking.com. Theliverking.com shows the ancestral tenants, shows him, shows, hey, this is my lifestyle. This is what I'm doing. And then separately, as a business point, they have ancestral supplements, where ancestral supplements is where you can buy the products. That is good in terms of separating the assets. The Liverking.com website doesn't have any T's and C's. It doesn't include any disclaimers. There's nothing of the sort on that website. However, they're also not selling anything, so that makes sense. The Ancestral website, however, Ancestral Supplements, in the tiny, teeny right-hand corner has this statement. The statements made on this website have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, prevent, treat, or cure any disease. Which this is a little bit in opposition of what he says in his regular day-to-day influencer life of, hey, eat liver and your eczema, will go away. Eat liver and you too can live longer, do these things. But the website, for what it's worth, seems to have been covering the bases. And it should be noted that supplements do not have to be evaluated by the FDA. So most supplements, if you buy like vitamin C generic, or you buy probiotics, most of them will say this has not been evaluated by the FDA. Some of them will have it on there if they have gotten evaluation. It is not an actual requirement. What is a requirement, though, is for you to properly label things. So this is one of his products, grass-fed beef thyroid. I mean, Oh, I really wish that I had a doctor friend to call to see if there are any health benefits of eating beef thyroid besides wasting $50.40. Okay, so in the beef thyroid, he claims that beef thyroid is going to help you. It has preformed vitamin A, B12, choline, and folate. There's also proteins, peptides, cofactors, and enzymes found and expressed in thyroid and liver tissue, and some iron. However, if you look at the actual bottle, the only thing that it states is in the bottle is grass-fed thyroid and then grass-fed liver and other ingredients, gelatin. Now, the FDA, you have to state if you're saying there's nutritional value, you always see the percentages like vitamin A, 10%, vitamin A, 2%, whatever. I don't think his labeling is actually correct, in that he probably will update that in the upcoming time, to be quite frank, because it's not particularly compliant. Is the FDA going to go after him? Probably not, to be honest. No one has complained that they've gotten sick from it. You're probably not going to get, I mean, maybe. Eating raw food is hit and miss, particularly depending on your stomach. However, that is one thing that stood out, which I thought was really interesting. The most, in terms of legalities that maybe he would face, to be honest, I think they've at least done a good job in covering their bases. On top of it, in my opinion, it just being a little scammy, is the false advertising. So the FTC most recently has been going after influencers, particularly we've seen Kim Kardashian as well as Kylie Jenner, all the Kardashians have to pay large fines to the FTC for not disclosing when they are advertising something. Most of the TikToks I watched of his, whenever he's saying like, hey, this is my liver, I'm taking it as a supplement, he always says this is from my company. So the advertisement is a bit implied. So that part I think is fine. However, the false statements is where this may come into play. So to prove false advertisings, you have defendant made false or misleading statements as to his own products or another, so it's his, actual deception, or at least a tendency to deceive a substantial portion of the intended audience. 3, deception is material and that is likely to influence purchasing decisions. 4, the advertiser's goods travels interstate commerce and likelihood of injury to plaintiff. The entire time he went on his press tour, he kept insisting, if you take my supplement and eat my healthy diet regimen, outside of the large amounts of butter, his diet is not awful. But eating that much butter and that much meat is probably going to give you high cholesterol. It's probably going to give you high cholesterol. Anybody who goes to the doctor on a regular visit knows you can't eat all of that. To which, in certain podcasts, he says he does not check his cholesterol, and that cholesterol is something that people have just made up, which is kind of fascinating. That's a fascinating take. That's a fascinating take to have. One of the things that I thought was really interesting is that in his marketing, you can tell he doesn't particularly market to children. However, the messaging is very much geared towards young men with the language he uses. In the US, we have COPPA, the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act. This is the rule from the FTC. We're going to go over it in a second. And COPPA essentially is designed to protect children's information online, as well as let businesses know, hey, if you are targeting children, there are certain things you need to do to make sure their parents are aware. It is listed on the Ancestral Supplements website in the T's and C's that if you are on the website, you automatically consent that you have waived any rights for your child to also be on the website as well, which that is technically the legally compliant language as well. One of the interesting things about COPPA is either you're directly targeting children or your website is an online service directed to children under 13 years old, or the last one might apply to him, your website or online service is directed to a general audience, but you have actual knowledge that you collect personal information from children under 13. That would be easy to prove by simply going on his TikTok and seeing who's commenting and seeing like, okay, what are the age of these young men over here commenting, saying that they're buying the liver, the thyroid, the this, the that, the next, to see like, okay, you should have known that kids are over here buying this product. Are you compliant with this? It's not very hard to prove. And this leads to a little segment and a little segue into the rise of viral health myths online. So this is largely due to TikTok. This has been going on for years. Like, we've grown up in the generation that, I think when I was younger, it was the Atkins diet. Then there's keto. There are all these different fads, these different things that people try and don't talk to their doctor about. Their doctor, because everybody's body is different. And TikTok has basically exacerbated these issues. So TikTok is flooded with health myths, and there are certain creators pushing back. So on TikTok, you have a growing rise of doctors as well as medical professionals who just do stitches. So stitch on TikTok, which I'm learning about TikTok. A stitch on TikTok, you see somebody's their content. So it'll be like a side by side, kind of how this is. And they will say their nonsense like, hey, eating liver every day is guaranteed to give you wings. And then you'd have a doctor stitch next to it and be like, absolutely not. That is, eating liver is great in iron. Sure, that's good for you. Nothing bad is going to happen to you, really. But it's not going to give you wings. You are not a bird. You are not going to grow wings, etc. So a quote from one of the debunkers, which is a practicing Mustafa Dahir, who's a practicing pharmacist and a medical student based in Australia. One of the most annoying things when it comes to busting misinformation is that people who spread the misinformation use hints of truth to spread their lies. It's very helpful that he was a pharmaceutical rep. He understands this industry. He also is somebody that does work out. You can tell, like, he's working out. You can't just do steroids and sit on your behind. He's doing the steroids. He's doing the working out. He understands the jargon. He understands how to sell something. He's an excellent salesman. Most of these alleged scammers, scam adjacent people are excellent salespeople. Excellent salespeople, and they find their target audience, and they find what the insecurity is in their target audience, and they exploit that insecurity. And that's how they make money. Unqualified influencers posting misinformation far outnumber the experts debunking it, who are often harassed by other users for their efforts. For every large creator who is genuinely evidence-based, you've got 50 or 60 big creators who spread misinformation, said Dr. Idris Mughal. It's interesting too, even when every once in a while we cover scammers, all of a sudden in the comments, there'll be people who have gotten their law degree by osmosis trying to argue with me. I'm like, first of all, I'm not going to argue with you. I'm not doing it. Second of all, this is silly. This is silly. People sometimes, when they see the scam that they believe in being exposed, they're too far gone. They're too bought into it. Similarly to when we covered, what was her name? I'm free. Coach Stormy and the low vibration plate. And we got into that her background is in MLMs, multi-level management, aka pyramid schemes, and all this business. There are people that fully believe that they need a coach that will yell at them and do all these things, and that is the only way they're going to succeed. And they will not listen to you when you tell them, like, this person is just taking your hard-earned money. This is just taking your hard-earned money. That's why I'm not a scammer. I hate sales and marketing. Listen, it's work. It's work. If only they would do the right thing. Listen, I feel like they think that they're Red Bull ads. All right. So this part I thought was really interesting because in terms of the specific health scammers and the health adjacent scammers, they use a lot of pseudoscience. So pseudoscience creators have built on the inherent velocity of social media platforms with tactics of their own. Many use shock and fear to make bogus health claims seem more urgent and credible. So essentially he's telling you, listen, you not being the manly man that your ancestors were is causing you all of these issues. So you need to eat this liver or you're just going to keel over and your life is sad, blah, blah, blah. It's preying on people's fears that are already there. And I think it's really interesting in the rise of specific demographics, particularly the demographics that he's targeting, being like, oh, liver is so good for you, all these things, blah, blah, blah. When people in America, particularly certain people in America, have been eating liver for many years. So a brief history of offcuts in the US and the Caribbean. And I just have this picture. I highly recommend watching High on the Hog. It's excellent, excellent Netflix series. The host is a little, I'm not the biggest fan of the host, to be honest, but the series is really good. So I recommend it. And basically the series about how African-American cuisine came originally from West Africa and then through the transatlantic slave trade and chattel slavery came to the United States. And then how Black Americans have transformed that food into soul food, Black American food, Southern food, etc. It's really good. And one of the things that is noted in the series, particularly, I think they're in South Carolina in the segment where they're showing that during chattel slavery in the US and in the Caribbean, and I would go so far as to guess in South America as well, but I haven't specifically researched chattel slavery in South America. So let's just keep to North America for now. In the US and the Caribbean, because capitalism and slavery are awful, the only thing they gave enslaved people was the offcuts. We've been eating liver for hundreds of years. And as a young Caribbean kid, liver was something that I was forced to eat for breakfast all the time. I hated it. Also, if you look at Eastern Europe and other countries, as well as in the US, poor people have been eating liver for a long time. It's very interesting when you see these health gurus. What they do is they mimic and they take things that other people have been doing for a long time. It's usually, a white creator, and they make it sound like it's brand new. I realize that if I eat liver, also don't look at anything else. I realize that if I eat liver, it's going to be great. It's going to give me these muscles. If I eat all this, these offcuts, these things that people don't want to eat, and no one has been eating them except for me. And it's usually not the truth. It's usually not the truth. Similarly to if you ever watch anything, I think they gave her another season of Gwyneth Paltrow, her little show. It's usually indigenous stuff that she's just misappropriating and doing nonsense with. And other people are like, I've been doing that. Like, what are you talking about? It's like Jack, his name is not Jack. What's his name? Zac Efron. I was like, what's that man's name? Zac Efron. And his sad show Netflix gave him, where he went to Costa Rica in one of the episodes. And in the episode, he's looking at these neo-colonizers in Costa Rica, where in the entire episode in Costa Rica, he's talking about holistic medicine, living your best life, all this. He doesn't see nor speak to one Costa Rican person. It is just a little commune of these rich white people that have moved to Costa Rica and have basically bought up Costa Rican land. And in doing a little bit of research specifically about those people, apparently are very awful towards the people that are from Costa Rica and actually live there. So, just to put that out there. And then lastly, one bit of when I first saw the expose on the Liver King, my first initial thought was, of course, nobody should believe this, but I know as somebody who has little brothers, I was like, okay, maybe they are definitely the ones believing this, and it's comical. However, it does highlight an underlying fact that the young men are not okay, and that the Liver King, the only reason why he's able to rise and do all of this is because the young men are not okay, and it's running in tandem with the manosphere rhetoric. So this is from The Conversation. Let me make this a little bigger. Muscle dysmorphia. Why are so many young men suffering this serious mental health condition? And so though researchers are only just beginning to understand the complexities of this condition, it appears young men are currently being affected by it at a higher rate compared to other populations. It's believed that there are many reasons driving this, but researchers have found that media and social media pressure, alongside changing issues of masculinity, may be both major causes. A large tenet of the manosphere and what it has been telling these young men is, you need to embrace full on what we define as this very narrow view of masculinity. And in our very narrow view, you cannot be narrow. You need to have wide shoulders, wide everything. You need to go to the gym. You also cannot be round because we don't want you to be soft, blah, 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 blah. All these things that most people cannot live up to. However, that doesn't stop people from peddling the nonsense because it makes money. It makes money. This is an opinion piece by two students at McMaster's University, David Rodriguez and Sabrina Rodriguez, to look like Superman, male body dysmorphia. All right, so muscle dysmorphia, let me make this a little bigger so y'all can see. Muscle dysmorphia, MD, is a newly recognized subtype of body dysmorphia that is more prevalent in males. MD is based on compulsive distress surrounding the perception of a lack of muscular size and leanness. MD is characterized by an individual's obsessive thoughts and behaviors to increase their body mass to appear muscular. This involves gaining weight without gaining fat. Thoughts include a hatred for their current body shape and a strong desire to change it through increased muscle mass. The underlying thing and the interesting thing that the Liver King acknowledged in his apology, it's not really an apology, to be honest. He doesn't say the words, I apologize, I don't believe in the 8 minutes. He just says, I lied. He's like, I lied, but also I'm rich. I'm rich and I'm still rich and I'm going to be rich. And in it, he quotes that a lot of men, and young men specifically, on the rise are having body dysmorphia and that he's helping them. I don't think that he's stupid, so therefore I don't believe that he believes that. But I do think it's very ironic for him to cite that when he is definitely, as somebody who has millions of followers, feeding into this and giving unrealistic expectations. Make myself smaller so we can go through this part. So we won't go through this whole thing, but one of this is looking like Superman, achieving the vision. So a popular question on this topic is, does having more muscle mean you are more of a man? The desire for men to achieve this vision stems from the fact that men are habitually judged by their muscularity and their ability to represent signs of power. In particular, researchers have connected the muscular physique to power, authority, strength, sexual chivalry, and self-esteem. Therefore, any man appearing as physically weak, small, or faint are immediately associated with femininity, hence the feeling of inadequacy, because femininity is largely demonized. And to Kiki's point, and I'll just use you because I was going to say this too, men need to realize that patriarchy hurts them too. Exactly. No, patriarchy is hurting everybody. First of all, eating bull testicles sounds gross. It doesn't sound like it's going to really taste that great. Second of all, as somebody who's been force feed liver their whole life and has gladly opted out as an adult, it's an acquired taste. It's very iodine-esque. It's not for everybody. Trying to stomach something that you don't like just because you want to fit into this unrealistic size. Arnold Schwarzenegger in the picture, who has been for many years the idealized figure, his old self, has admitted all of this was done through steroids. Steroids shortens your lifespan. It is proven. It also, has unintended consequences in the bedroom, which is against the ideals that people are going for. If they're saying they want to get big to attract somebody so that way, they can have happy life, happy wife. Well, it's not going to work if your stuff don't work, just to put that out there. So it would really benefit people to move away from this. And then also it would benefit us as society to call the scammers from the beginning. Because clearly anybody over a certain age realized the man was not telling the truth. And I would be very curious now that this comes out and and he's been making these very loud claims that he made $100 million in 1 year. I would be very curious to see if his money is not funny. I didn't find anything, to be honest, so I'll put that there. And he was rich beforehand, so maybe his money is fine. Maybe his money is very long. And, maybe he just decided that he was bored and he wanted more people to eat lots of butter with him. We'll see. All right, and on to the comments. Aw, Brittany, he begged me for supplements and I had to explain that it was not healthy for an adolescent to take those. My baby cried. Listen, it's sad. Latasha, I'm done. I'm done. All right, let's read the comments. Okay. He did say bone marrow. And also to eat that much bone marrow, I didn't have bone marrow for the first time till I was a grown adult. It is a very expensive delicacy. It does taste good in small doses. It's like eating butter. It's like if you eat oxtail and you suck the bone of the oxtail, it's like that, but in a gelatinous form, which tastes great at first, but too much of a good thing is not great. Kyrie, he's going to eat butter straight, a whole stick or two of butter. I have questions. There's so much butter. It's just so much butter. Like, sir, no. Dion, not even seasoning. I guess seasoning doesn't help with his gains. So, child. Yes, Lexi, you're correct. He went to the continent, to East Africa, to Tanzania specifically. And yeah. Yes, Dr. Ranger. Yes. which he joked about himself, and he used that as one of his proof points as to why he wasn't on steroids. In his own words, he said, if I was on steroids, would my legs be so small? And it's like, well, clearly you didn't do it right. And the thighs will always tell on you. The thighs will always tell on you. All right. It's always tied with the alpha male thing. Always. And if you look through like the language he uses, the different things he says, he refers himself as a primal. And everyone that follows his work ethic, his eating ethic, and now that it's in the open, his steroid ethic is a primal. But before he admitted to steroids, anybody doing steroids, in his opinion, and anybody not living up to their potential, he referred to them as subprimal. You can't make this up. You can't make this up. Will give it to him, his tenacity to live life on his own terms. But then roping other people into it, that's where it's the problem. That's where it's the problem. Exactly. The manosphere purposely targeting children when they realized the men of a certain age knew better. How sad. Exactly. Because it is all built off of money. KS, who has passed, huge Patreon following, huge amounts of memberships on YouTube, huge amounts during the live streams, people giving money. It's never like, let me just give you this information and, I'm helping people, whatever. It's always a product behind it, even if the product is not so obvious. All right. Shayna, oh, it's funny. Listen, steps are great. It's good. Then you have a functional body. It's functional to do, exercise is good for you. No one's going to tell you like, oh, exercise is bad. But I think it's like really interesting when alleged scammers use things that everyone agrees is good as like, see, I said this helpful thing. It's like everyone already agreed on this. Oh, yes, I agree. My liver consumption starts and stops at the occasional banh sandwich. Yes. Banh sandwich is good. Yes, it does. Exactly. Exactly. All right. Oh, what might be doing? All right. Yes. Maxine. Oh, yeah. Atkins was a scam. Atkins had people in a chokehold. Oh, truly did. That's true. Wakanda Forever at least had Neymar looking normal and not like Thor or Killmonger. Poor babies can't tell the difference. Brittany, when my baby was in middle school, he was obsessed with being buff. Oh, and that's when you were saying that he would ask for the supplements. And I think that's the danger of it. And that's what the podcasters who put them on their platforms also take a little bit of the responsibility as well. It's mostly young little boys watching this. Like, okay, I'm going through puberty, and when I go through puberty, I'm magically going to be big and everything's going to be great. And they go through puberty and they're not magically big. So now they're on the internet like, okay, well, how do I get big? Okay, I'm going to watch this. And a lot of the podcasters are men in their late 30s, early 40s. Like, y'all got to start being more responsible. Y'all know who's watching this. All right. Listen, I really want to order some today. I haven't had some. My grandma went to Jamaica today. I'm so sad. Well, I'm happy for her, but I'm sad for me. I'm not going till next week. And I really want some oxtail. Yes, and this is a great point, Sandra. I forgot to put the amounts he was spending. Bro is spending $15K on steroids a month and claiming is for people who, exactly. Yes, I highly recommend you watch his apology video, not because it's sensible, but because you see what type of person you're dealing with. And again, I think it's an act, because if you watch his apology video where he's still like, it's on his channel for his audience, where he's still being like cavalier and like, I don't care. And then you watch his Graham Stephan interview where it's very much giving, I'm a businessman who just doesn't happen to wear shirts. The man is not dumb, but the man knows how to make a coin. He claimed in his apology video that he is doing this whole thing for people who unfortunately unalive themselves, and that he is trying to combat male body dysmorphia. There's no way he believes that. But by saying that, and if you know your target audience is young teenage boys, they don't know how to understand this. I started looking. He did another video, I believe yesterday before, with another large YouTuber, a podcast, where he said, you know what? Now that I've been exposed, I apologize. I'm going to go natural. And they were like, okay, great. And all the comments are from his subscribers being like, I know he did the wrong thing, but I really like him. He seems like a nice guy. So now he's going to go natural. I'm like, that man is trying to peddle you nonsense that doesn't work. Okay. All right. This is a great point. We'll end on Alex's point. It's weird that young men go to the manosphere to listen to bitter single men. To hear them being also called bitter makes me giggle. Single men to figure out what women want. Just ask the woman. Much easier. Much easier. Much easier. I mean, the manosphere is a very strange place. Very strange place, child. All right. Not just teenage boys, in my opinion, but insecure 20 to 35 single men. You know what? It's probably true. It's probably true. I always, and I've talked to my girlfriends about this. I'll do quick tangent and then we'll close out. I talked to my girlfriends about this. If there are so many men on the internet that have bought into the manosphere and bought into this primal alpha male BS nonsense, where are they in real life? I'm just curious and concerned, because if we all, like, I used to work in an office, worked in corporate all these years. I'm like, I've never met one person who believes in this. Never. So I'm like, are y'all at work lying, pretending, fake feminists at work? And then at home, you're watching, what's the man's name? Liver King? Wild. It's very wild. That also seems very tiring. It seems very tiring to live that type of double life. I wouldn't have the energy. I wouldn't have the energy. All right. Well, on that note, I appreciate you all, and we will continue our 12 days of Christmas / 12 days of streams tomorrow. What would y'all like to talk about? So things that y'all have asked for: Hellcat or Omni the Hellcat. So he's on our maybe list. Taylor Swift and the Ticketmaster debacle. So I started reading that lawsuit. Are there any other things? They don't necessarily have to be full-on scams and scandals, although I think that's like fun. If there's anything else, let me know what y'all would like to discuss, and we'll do that tomorrow. Yep, we'll probably continue on tomorrow. I have a filmed video that we'll do instead of the live stream one of these days too. It's already done. Just need to give the editor back her notes. So if there's anything else, let me know what y'all want to talk about, because we have a week more of this, which I'm excited. So yeah, I appreciate y'all. Oh, really? I feel like I would just be so surprised. I would just walk away. I'd be like, oh, okay, I have to go. Oh, I would just walk away. Yeah, I agree. I think, Jonathan, they're definitely lying at work, y'all. They're lying. And I'm like, to keep up that lie seems so tiring. I don't got it in me. So people have asked for this Tory Megan trial or wait until it's done. I am allergic to crim law. That's why we usually never cover it. Maybe when it's finished, because I personally watch all the trials and go through it at the end so then I can see everything. I feel like it's easier. So maybe. I usually, we've only covered crim once, kind of, not really, when we did Daryl Brooks, but that was more so about the history of sovereign citizens and the rise of sovereign citizens. Speaking of the manosphere, that also overlaps with the sovereign citizen people. So yeah. We'll see. Maybe it's bleeding towards probably not, because crim is stressful. Crim is very stressful, but we will see. We're gonna stay in the 3 o'clock range, and I say in the 3 o'clock range. We started at 3:30 today, which was good, so I had set it to then. We'll stay 3 to 3:30 ish. So yeah. All right. Well, I will see y'all tomorrow. Oh, yes, yes, yes. I forgot about that. Maybe we'll do, because people are talking about Lori Harvey's NDA, which people's obsession with her I find very interesting. But the NDA I thought is like very smart. I'm like, yeah, if you have shit to lose, you can only mess with people. As J. Cole said, and when I had much more respect for him before I found out that he purposely doesn't read, you should only mess with people that have shit to lose. So I understand why she's making them sign NDAs. But yeah, maybe we can do that Lori Harvey NDA with the child support / prenup conversation. Because as a recovering lawyer, I'm of the mindset that everyone should have a prenup. It's a business contract. It is. That's what it is in the eyes of the law. All right. So we will see. Okay. Well, I appreciate y'all. Let me know in the comments what you'd like to discuss if we haven't put it on our maybe list yet. And we will see. All right. I will see y'all tomorrow. Bye.